The castle is located in the town of Al-Hozan, in the Wadi al-Nasara district of Homs Governorate, 30 km south of the tourist town of Mashta al-Helou. It is located between the cities of Homs and Tartus, and is considered one of the most beautiful archaeological castles in the Middle East and the world. It lies on a high hill, 650 meters, 2,130 feet high, east of Tartus, Syria, in the Homs Gap. The castle is believed to have been built on the ruins of an older castle called Shipton, erected by the pharaohs when they invaded Syria under the leadership of Ramses II in the 15th century BC. Although the Aramaeans had inhabited the area for a long time, there is nothing in this castle to indicate an ancient Aramaean presence. However, its foundations may date back to the Greek period and later. Some historians mention that the Greeks built a military stronghold in the area between Tripoli and Homs. The Greeks called it Pyrgos, meaning fortress or stronghold. This definition was passed down into Arabic as the word tower, which bears the same name. Krak des Chevaliers is a perfect example of fortified military castles, taking the shape of an irregular polygon, with a large diameter of 200 meters and a small diameter of 140 meters. Covering an area of 3 hectares, the castle was not completed in one go, but rather in several stages. The Mirdasids built the castle in 1031 by Shibl al-Dawla Nasser ibn Salih al-Mirdasi, who established a small fortification there. The aim was to protect the trade caravan route from the coast of the Levant to the interior of the Levant. The Kurds inhabited it to protect the road, and for this reason it was called the Kurdish fortress. It was also called the Safa fortress, Al-Safa fortress, or Al-Krak fortress. From this name, the Crusader name for the castle was derived. The castle was built as a vantage point for caravans during the Murdesid period. However, with the arrival of the Crusaders in 1099, Raymond of Sunjil seized the fortress and plundered the surrounding villages and farms. The Emir of Homs then recaptured it in 1102. Tancred of Antioch then took control of it in 1110. In 1144, Raymond II, Emir of Tripoli, handed it over to the Knights of St. John, known as the Hospitallers or Knights Hospitallers. This order of fighting monks rebuilt the castle's defences, which later became known as the Krak de Chevalier, also known in Latin as Kraton or Castrum Crati. Since then, the site has been known as the Krak de Chevalier, Kratom of the Knights. The Hospitallers rebuilt the castle's new defences and restored it after the earthquake that struck it in 1157. It is considered one of the most beautiful military castles in the East, and the largest military castle in the world. In 1109 AD, the Crusaders attacked it under the leadership of the Prince of Antioch, Tancred, and occupied it in 1110 AD. They realized its importance and distinguished location, so they worked to fortify it and provide it with defensive structures and vital facilities, such as grain and oil warehouses, a bakery, a press, a mill, horse stables, cellars, cisterns, and water wells, that would ensure its resistance to sieges for as long as possible. Muslims attempted to recapture the castle several times. The Seljuk Sultan Alp Arslan besieged it briefly in 1115 AD, but was unable to liberate it. The castle was hit by an earthquake in 1157 AD, which also destroyed many buildings in the Levant. A severe earthquake struck the castle in 1169 AD, leaving no standing walls, prompting the Crusaders to renovate it again, repairing its collapsed parts and increasing its fortifications. The Arabs made several attempts to recapture the castle. Sultan Nur ad-Din Zangi attempted to liberate the castle twice in 1163 and 1167 AD. Battles with the Crusaders took place in the Bakia plain south of the castle. Sultan Saladin also besieged it around 1808 AD, while his army was passing through to recapture the Syrian coast, but failed to liberate it. In 1201 AD, the castle was struck by a third devastating earthquake, causing extensive damage. Following this earthquake, the third phase of the castle's reconstruction began, resulting in the outer defensive ring, the massive sloping wall on the southern side, and the storehouse behind the southern facade. The Mamluk Sultan al-Zahir Baybars made his first attempt to liberate the castle from the Crusaders in 1267 AD, after liberating all the nearby fortresses and towers. He also launched another attack in 1269 AD. Al-Zahir Baybars prepared the equipment and supplies to storm the castle, and the official siege of the castle began in the winter of 1271 AD. This siege lasted for more than a month, and the castle fell to Al-Zahir Baybars on April 6 of the same year, after the knights surrendered in exchange for their departure to Tripoli. Sultan Al-Zahir Baybars ordered the renovation of the ruined part of the citadel, putting it back into service and making it the headquarters of the Sultan's deputy. During this period, the Mamluks added towers and structures, particularly on the southern facade, which was reinforced by the tower of Al-Zahir Baybars. Sultan Saif al-Din Kalawun also added a large protruding rectangular tower on the southern side of the outer wall, dated 12,805 AD. They also added baths and some other parts, such as the northeastern side. The new governor, Sarim al-Din Kema, carried out repairs to the enclosure under the continuous supervision of Sultan al-Zahir Baybars. The citadel continued to be used until the late Middle Ages and into modern times, and was almost intact in the early 1800s. The citadel's general shape is oval, extending along its moat at a distance of 240 meters from north to south and 170 meters from east to west.